So we're just gonna start now because it's time for it. So this week we're talking about energy resources and other facts. This week we'll be learning about energy resources, non-renewable, which can't last forever, and renewable, which can. Here people are pointing to some wind turbines. They generate wind energy, which we will talk about. And here's a chart of all the resources and the ones people use the most. First, we're going to talk about non-renewable resources. So the first one is nuclear. It comes from the splitting of uranium atoms. This is called fission. This generates heat to produce steam, which is used by a turbine generator to generate electricity. So here we have the cooling towers of a nuclear power plant. This is the only thing that you see that is above ground. Everything else in the power plant is underground. Since nuclear power plants do not burn fuel, they do not produce greenhouse gas emissions. This is non-renewable because uranium is finite, meaning there is a limit of uranium. The countries that produce the most nuclear energy are the US, Lithuania, France, and Slovakia. Out of these four, US is the only one that's not in Europe. So in the Europe, 29 states have at least one commercial nuclear reactor. And most of them are located at the east of the Mississippi River. And Illinois has the most because it has 11 reactors at 6 plants. So here the purple part, water is heated through the splitting of uranium atoms in the reactor core. The water, so first, the purple part is right here, the reactor. Somebody raised their hand. Okay, never mind. Let's just keep going. So the reactor, which is the purple part, right here, water is heated in there through the splitting of uranium. Yeah, so we can keep going. So in the reactor, water is heated, and it will go to the steam generator, in which it will go through the steam line. And once it goes down here, it will spin the turbine, which also spins the generator and makes electricity. It'll go to the switchyard and then to your home. And then some other will go to, will be cooled, go to the cooling towers or the reservoir. Oh. So pros and cons of nuclear energy. It doesn't need a lot of carbon. It has low carbon, and it is cheap to run. Those are good things. The disadvantages are it is dangerous if it goes wrong, like Chernobyl, and expensive to build. Coal. Coal is one of the 3 fossil fuels, and coal is considered non-renewable because it takes millions of years to form. And we use coal so much that all the coal will be done for because we use it too fast. For electricity, coal is put in a furnace. It heats water in a boiler and turns it to steam. As you can see right here, the steam coming out. The steam will turn the turbine blades. So this is only some steam. The other steam will turn the turbine blades because this is extra steam that we don't need. The turbine will spin an electromagnet in a copper coil. That produces electricity. So yeah, coal can make electricity. This is coal converted into electricity. So the coal drops out from here onto the conveyor. So conveyor will move the coal up until it goes down here and drops in the pulverizer or mill. It'll go in the boiler, in which extra steam will come out. The other steam will go down. The other steam will go down here through the condenser and to the generator. That's where the steam will spin the turbine right here. The generator spins the electromagnet in here and produces electricity. Coal is burned to make heat. It can also be processed to a factory to make electricity, as we just said. Coal contains the energy stored by plants that lived hundreds of millions of years ago in swampy forests. This is the picture of a pile of coal. China and the US produce the most coal. And China, as you will see later on in this presentation, makes a lot of these energy. Coal can also make steam so that steamboats and trains can run on it. Now trains can be electric and steamboats, they don't have to be steam, they can also be electric. The coal used in older trains were burned to make fuel for the train. The train would run but releases carbon dioxide. So this is a steam train, and this is a steamboat. As you can see, this picture is pretty old because boats don't really use this anymore, so well, they don't really look like that anymore. Here's a video about coal and turbines. So let me pause here for a second because this is the steam, the water in there is getting boiled because the coal down there is burned. So the fire will rise up here and burn it. And then the steam will go here to push this thing to turn the turbine, or in this case, a wheel. So as you can see, the coal had stopped burning, so it's slower now. So now it spins slower. and it stopped. So yeah, that was just a video about coal and the turbine. So the pros and cons of coal. It's easy to burn and not expensive. And the disadvantages: releases carbon dioxide and makes global warming worse. And we use too much of it, so there won't be any left. This is a coal factory. Oil. The Chinese discovered oil first in 600 BC, but in 1859, Cardinal Drake from Pennsylvania started the world's oil economy. The first use for oil was making oil lamps back when Chinese discovered oil. Crude oil is a non-renewable resource. It is formed when heat and pressure compress the remains of prehistoric plants, animals, and aquatic life under the bed of the sea or lakes for millions of years, thus becoming fossil fuels. Basically, what this means is that so heat and pressure, so prehistoric plants, animals, and ocean life, the heat and pressure have compressed them, and they were buried under the soil or the sand for millions of years, so it becomes fossil fuel. So it is burned to heat water to create steam to generate electricity. And oil is very flammable, actually, so it's not very safe. Most of it comes from Canada, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Venezuela, and Nigeria. Oil could be 3,000 feet deep in the ground. Oil is good for us not to eat, like it's very fat. But most of the oil is good for using it. But sometimes accidents happen that makes it get out of control. This is one of those times. On April 20, 2010, in the Gulf of Mexico, a ship was carrying oil. But the oil of the ship spilled because the ship exploded and 11 people died. This was called the Gulf of Mexico oil spill. The spill could be seen from space. This is bad for the environment because the oil mixed with the ocean. The marine life in there died because of the oil. So this is what the ship looked like when it exploded. And this is all the oil spilled. This is what the ship looked after. Pros and cons. So advantages: it's cheap and reliable. Not very reliable, but most of the time reliable. And disadvantages: oil is a source of pollution and causes acid rain. So acid rain is basically air pollution, which will erode rock and will destroy environments. Next, we're going to talk about natural gas. So natural gas is a naturally occurring hydrocarbon gas mixture consisting primarily of methane, but commonly including varying amounts of other higher alkanes. That's supposed to be alkalines, and sometimes a small percentage of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, hydrogen sulfide, or helium. Most of it comes from the US. Sorry about this typo, it's supposed to be alkaline. Natural gas, along with other fossil fuels, causes an air pollutant called PM2.5. PM2.5 can penetrate deeply into the lung, irritate and corrode the alveolar wall, and consequently impair lung function. It can just go straight into the alveolar wall, and then and it will impair lung function. During the Industrial Revolution in Britain, more than 4,000 people died in 1 week of PM2.5. PM2.5 is also caused by dust, spores, which is basically how fungi reproduce, and pollen. The country that has the most PM 2.5 is Nepal. That's very sad because the PM 2.5 can actually cause death. So, pros and cons of natural gas. Cleaner than the other fossil fuels, safe and easy to store. Cons is it's flammable material, just like oil, and contributes to greenhouse gases. So this is natural gas, obviously. As you can see, the fires rising into the air. This is just the station of natural gas. Earth minerals. This is considered to be non-renewable as well, because humans are using them way too fast, faster than they form. The processes generally take from tens of thousands to millions of years through through plate tectonic subsidence, and crustal recycling. Those. Yeah. This is very similar to Earth's minerals and coal. This is metal ores. Humans are using it faster than they form, which is the case for most of these. Some examples of metal ores are cinnabar, pyrite, which is often called fool's gold, sphalerite, cassiterite, and galena. These are the most common. So yeah. This is a picture of metal ore. So pros and cons. Pros: create more jobs for unemployed people. Might find useful element with significant profit and value. But cons: destroy forest area while mining, and mining sites become wasteland, leaves less land for farmers. So now that's all the non-renewable energy. So here are some facts. Carbon is the main element in fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas. Those are the three fossil fuels because they're made from fossil. So carbon is the main element in them. The quality of coal is given by the level of carbonization. Natural gas is a form of methane. Fossil fuels cause the most environmental damage, and burning releases the energy locked in fossil fuels. Fossil fuel frenzy started after World War II. Oil is the world's most versatile substance. No one knows how much of non-renewable energy is left. The fossil fuel industry has a very high net worth, and fossil fuels subsidies exceed the budget allocated to global healthcare. Now we're going to talk about renewable resources, which is the other type of resources. Solar. Solar energy can be converted into electricity by using solar panels, in which sunlight will hit the panels. Solar energy can be used to power automotives, pools, lights, heaters, and gadgets. This is mainly why you see some houses with solar panels on them. Solar power cooking and baking. So in here, and these two, this one, so both of them look like a radar. They're cooking because this is a pot. So yeah, solar power can actually cook since solar power comes from the sun, which is made of fire. Here they're baking a cake. So the sunlight will hit this mirror, go in there. Do not raise it too high or it'll just bounce off. Right there. So it will go in here where they put the cake, and the cake will be cooked until they're ready to take it out. And they can actually cook like that. And this is a kettle. It looks like a radar, but it's not. Not quite. So the sunlight will hit this, and since it's curved, the sunlight will bounce that back, but not in the direct movement. It'll heat the kettle. Solar-powered vehicles. So this is before we had solar-powered vehicles, what people think it would look like. Now that we do, actually, this is a solar-powered car. This is a Mars rover. As you can see, it has solar panels, tiny solar power panels on it. And this is a space station, a satellite with a lot of solar panels, as you can see. Because satellites are in space, so it's easier to get sun. So this is a concentrated solar power plant, and concentrated solar power is one of the two types of solar power. So as you can see, this is what this actually looks like. So I'll explain. So these are heliostats. They're not solar panels. So the sunlight will hit them, and the sunlight will bounce into the receiver up here. The receiver will pass the solar panel, the solar power, to the steam drum, which will pass it to the turbine, which spins like most renewable energy, and the generator will spin. So some will go to the steam condenser, while most of it goes to the electricity, becomes electricity. So this is photovoltaic, which is the other type. This is the process of the solar power from the sun hitting the solar panels. This process shows how sunlight becomes electricity, and for most of you, it will introduce DC and AC flow. So step 1, the solar panels convert sunlight into direct current, which is DC. So the DC goes into the inverter. An inverter converts electricity from DC to alternating current, which is AC. The AC powers your home. Extra electricity may be used by the grid. Solar panels can also be on satellites, which I already said actually. So yeah, this is another satellite with solar panels. One example is the ISS, the International Space Station. The solar power will provide the ISS with energy. Through a magnifying glass, the sun is so bright it can burn things. But, and this is important, do not look at the sun through a magnifying glass. It will burn your eyes, figuratively and literally. So, yeah. Please don't play with a magnifying glass when it's sunny outside. You can test it to burn paper, just don't look at the sun. So, if I had a magnifying glass at home, I would have done this experiment, but since I don't, then it's too bad. So, and plus I'm inside anyway, so I don't want to go outside. It is the cheapest and most plentiful energy source in the world. People will still have solar energy as long as the sun is burning. There are two main types, photovoltaic with solar panels and concentrating. The country that uses solar power the most is China. Now let me introduce to you this thing. It is called a sundial. Sundials were invented by the ancient Greek. Sundials tell you what time it is by the position of the sun. As you can see, it says Melbourne here, so it's probably in Australia. They were invented by the Greek, and you can see Roman numerals on here. The Greek also used Roman numerals. Pros and cons of solar energy. Pros: lowers electric bill, improves the value of your home, and you get to earn money back on your investment. Cons: panels are expensive, doesn't work for every roof type, and they're not ideal if you're about to move. Next is wind energy. The wind will spin the blades of the windmill or wind turbine. When the wind blows, these blades capture the wind's kinetic energy and rotates. This turns it into mechanical energy. Then it turns an internal shaft connected to a gearbox. It increases the speed of rotation by a factor of 100. This spins a generator which produces electricity. China uses the most of this. So yeah, China uses the most of a lot of things. So here, wind will blow across tall windmills or wind turbines. To turn the blades of the huge turbines, which spin generators to create electricity. Then a transformer, not the movies or the action figures, this type of transformer increases the voltage to send electricity over the distribution lines. Then local transformers everywhere will reduce the voltage for you to use. Because if the voltage is too high, then you'll be shocked, figuratively and literally. Because if the voltage is high, like there's more electricity and it yeah. The 5 states that have the most wind capacity installed were number 5, California, was 5,973 megawatts, because MW means megawatt. Kansas is number 4, with 6,128 megawatts. Oklahoma, 8,172 megawatts. Iowa, 10,201 megawatts. And the state that has the most wind capacity installed is Texas. It has 28,843 megawatts. Pros and cons of wind energy. So as you can see, there's not a lot of stuff here, but so pros: clean and infinite. Not exactly infinite. As long as the earth is existing, then wind. As long as wind exists, then we will have wind energy. But the cons: needs a lot of land. Next, the next energy is hydropower. And hydropower, pretty obviously, converts water into electricity. It is renewable because the water cycle is constantly renewed by the sun. Historically, one of the first uses of hydropower was mechanical milling, such as grinding grains. In 2015, hydropower generated 16.6% of the world's total electricity and 70% of all renewable electricity, and was expected to increase by about 3.1% each year for the next 25 years. China, again, uses this the most, always. Renewable energy at the end of 2008. As you can see, large hydropower is this much. And here, there's a graph. See, hydroelectricity has always, always this much. While the brown are also fossil fuels. The orange type is nuclear. No, actually, this is biomass and waste. The red is nuclear. The green is wind and solar. Solar is the yellow. So as you can see, hydropower is always the tallest. This is in Brazil. Brazil electricity generation by fuel type. So yeah. So this is how hydropower works on the inside. This is the stator and this is the rotor. So it spins, and then the turbine will spin too. This is the wicket gate. Water flow goes in here. It will generate electricity by always spinning. These are the blades. Okay. So this is a hydroelectric dam, because you can use dams for hydropower too. This is a conventional dam power system. So as you can see, this is the reservoir and the intake and the penstock. This is the penstock right here. So so this is the river right here. Water is coming from this side. It spins the turbine. And then some water will end up in the reservoir, but yeah. All of it actually, but its job is done because once it spins, the generator spins, and electricity goes to your home. Yeah, this is basically the same thing. Water reservoir of dam, flowing water, water stream, spins the turbine, electricity generator, electricity goes to your home. This is the Three Gorges Dam located in central China. It is the world's largest capacity hydroelectric power station with 34 generators. 32 main generators, each with a capacity of 700 megawatts, and two plant power generators, each with a capacity of 50 megawatts, making a total capacity of 22,500 megawatts. So this is the Hoover Dam, the most famous and important dam in the USA. It has an installed capacity of 2,080 megawatts and currently generates about 4 billion kilowatt hours of hydroelectric power annually for homes and business in Nevada, Arizona, and California. This is a run-of-the-river power station. It's a type of hydroelectricity power station. Pros and cons of hydropower. No emission, it's flexible, economical, it's safe, and reliable and highly efficient. The cons: environmental impact on upstream or downstream habitats and climate, expensive to build, not always safe, though in the pros it says safe. It's not always safe because during the construction there might be accidents. And it displaces people to get land to build dam. Displaced means people have to move out of this area. So this is basically a part of hydropower, but it's kind of different from the other hydropower types. This is just like hydropower, well, part of it, because they both are consist of water, but this uses the tides to spin turbine, which is connected to generators and get electricity generated. Tidal turbines are more expensive to build and maintain than wind turbines. They also produce an energy more consistently as the tide is continuous, while the wind doesn't always blow. The United States has no tidal power plants. There are two existing large tidal barrages in the world today. One is in France and the other is in Canada. South Korea uses the most tidal power. So this is a tidal power station. Looks like Run of the River, which has a picture here, but it's not. This is another picture. The next energy is geothermal. Geothermal energy is energy generated from the heat deep inside the Earth's crust. It generates steam to make electricity. Geothermal energy is used in 24 countries around the world. The country that uses it the most is the US. In Iceland, people even use geothermal hot water to heat buildings and swimming pools. As you can see, this is a geothermal factory. Geothermal, as we just talked about, is deep inside the Earth's crust. Not very deep compared to the core, deep inside the ocean. So, yeah. So here, this is what a geothermal this is what a geothermal station looks like. This is a well. The cold water will be pumped down. Then it will be turned into hot water. And since it's burned, there will be steam. And it will rise up to the generating station. And of course, another turbine spins, which is for mostly all of the renewable energy. It will create electricity. And generators are they are very widely used to generate electricity because turbines can spin very fast, and that will generate electricity, pretty obviously. Pros and cons of geothermal energy. Pros, no pollution, and if Earth exists, then geothermal energy exists. But cons, damage to underground loops can be difficult to repair and needs a lot of water if using a well. Last type of energy is biomass. Biomass energy is energy produced by living or was living organisms or waste, such as soy, corn, and wood. Those are plants. And long dead animals can be biomass too. They can be burned to make heat or converted into electricity. It can also be animals. Though it releases toxins into the atmosphere as it's combusted, still important for us. The country that uses this the most is Brazil. Pros and cons of biomass energy. Waste reduction and abundant availability. Those are pros, but cons. Expensive to operate and carbon storage. Okay, so that's all the renewable energy. So here are some facts now. There is enough solar power hitting the Earth in 1 hour for everyone on Earth to use for an entire year. Pretty awesome, but it's also very wasting. I'm not sure wasteful is a word, but it wastes solar power because in 1 hour people can use it for an entire year. What about those the rest of the day, even the other 23 hours? We can't save it. So yeah, as of 2017 in China, 2 wind turbines are built each hour. Because wind turbines take a long time, but in China, 2 are built each hour. Mainly because China had a lot of population. Still does. Just 1 wind turbine can generate enough electricity to power 1,400 homes, which is a lot. Renewable energy creates 5 times more jobs than non-renewable. In 2016, Portugal ran on renewable energy only for 107 hours without any non-renewable energy. So if you don't know how much that is, and you think it's a very short time, though it's not, it is more than, it is more than 3 days. Much more. In 2016, California's renewable energy firm Solar Reserve commissioned the world's first 24/7 solar power plant in the Nevada desert, powering 75,000 homes for 3 hours a day. Solar power may be the world's main power source by 2050. Romans were the very first to use geothermal energy to heat their homes, with warm water moving under floors and inside walls. A world record was set in 1990 when a solar-powered airplane flew across the United States in stages, using no fuel at all. And Europe and North Africa could run on 100% renewable energy by 2050. So special honor, this guy is a famous person. James Watt was a scientist who lived from 1736 to 1819. He made the Watt steam engine. This is the first patented steam engine, though it's not the first steam engine because somebody already made one. They never patented it. So he technically invented the steam engine. This allowed the transportation of trains and steamboats or ships. It uses burning coal as fuel and releases steam. His last name is now a unit of measurement for power, as in electricity. So this is the Watt steam engine right here, and it is used in the steam engine train. This train, I actually think it looks like the train from Hogwarts, from Harry Potter. So, just a quick review. If you can't hear it, you can search it later on YouTube. I'll send the link in the chat. So yeah, the link is now in the chat. Now, so yeah, if you can't hear it, you can search it later. Or if you want to listen to it again. So
Welcome to Moo Moo Math and Science. In this video, let's talk about renewable and non-renewable resources. A natural resource is a natural material that is used by humans. Examples include water, oil, wood from trees, and coal. Many of these resources are changed into products that make our life more comfortable or convenient. Natural resources can be classified as renewable or non-renewable. A renewable resource can be replaced at the same rate in which the resource is used. Common renewable resources used to produce energy include solar, like these solar panels converting solar energy into electricity, wind, which can turn turbines to produce electricity, hydroelectric, which involves moving water turning a turbine, geothermal, which involves capturing the underground steam that flows to a turbine and then produces electricity, and biomass, which involves plants and poop being burned to produce electricity. Air and water are renewable natural resources also. They don't regrow like trees, but they are always being renewed. They move in cycles. Remember, renewable resources can regrow or be replaced within a person's lifespan. Non-renewable resource is a resource that forms at a rate that is much slower than the rate that it is formed. Coal is an example. It takes millions of years to create coal, and once it is used up, it is no longer available. You can use the phrase CON to remember three popular non-renewable resources. This stands for coal, oil, natural gas. Nuclear fuel is also a non-renewable resource. Uranium-235, which is used in nuclear power plants, is found in a finite amount.
So uranium-235 is an don't know really how to pronounce it. It's I think it's pronounced isotopy of uranium, which means it's just a type of uranium, has its own special effect though.
Minerals used for making metals are also non-renewable. For example, steel, which is used in making buildings, is made of iron ore. Iron ore is mined from the earth and is a limited resource. Non-renewable natural resources are things that take longer than a person's lifespan to be replaced. In fact, it takes millions of years to form these. Because many important resources are limited, we can all reduce, reuse, and recycle. You can turn off lights when you're not in a room. You can ride your bike more and walk more to reduce the amount of gasoline used. You can reuse and recycle things like plastic jugs, jars, paper bags, plastics, cardboard, aluminum, and even steel. If you'd like to know more about how we get energy from non-renewable resources, this playlist will help. Thanks for watching, and Moo Moo Math uploads a new math and science video every day. Please subscribe and share.
So yeah, that's the video. Now it's time for a Kahoot. So yeah, go to kahoot.it because that's where you will be playing. And then, yeah, then you can type in the game pin, which I will show. So this is a game pin. Go to Kahoot and type it in 6602581. I'll copy it and paste it in the chat. Please do not do emojis because it's hard to read the emojis. And we will wait for 1 more minute. Oh, why no music? Because my dad is working here, so it's bothering him, so. Not working where I am right now, but he's working in a room next to mine. So yeah, I don't want to bother him right now, so. That's why no music. And let's start now. 3, 2, 1. Don't worry, you can always go, join if you want to. What is the cleanest fossil fuel? So it's natural gas. It's the cleanest fossil fuel, as you might remember. True or false? Metal ores are very abundant. Abundant means plentiful. And now the answers are really in. And the answer is false. Metal ores are not very abundant. They're kind of, but they're not very. Yeah, never mind that. So next. I'm a very curious man, that's why I did that. So internal shaft connected to a gearbox. It increases the speed of rotation by a factor of. So this is from wind energy. This is kind of a challenge to remember it because I didn't give you the full sentence. Yeah, it's 100. Good thing 16 of you still got the right answer. Either you guessed or you actually did. True or false? A lot of the world's oil comes from Mexico. And by that, I mean, true or false, Mexico is one of the top producers of oil. It's true, actually. Sadly, only 12 of you got it. 22 chose false. Where does geothermal energy comes from? Does it come from the mantle, inner core, outer core, or crust? Yeah, it comes from the crust. Why would it come from the inner core? Oh. How does tidal power create electricity? So yeah, it spins underwater, but 18 of you chose semi-submerged in water. Semi-submerged means um part of it is in the water. How is nuclear energy formed? Yeah, it comes from splitting uranium atoms. Why would anybody choose this? Or mixing eggs and flour. These are the only two that you could that are pretty reasonable. Astatine is another element, but it's the rarest element, which is why it's not used for nuclear, and it doesn't produce nuclear energy, obviously. Why are Earth minerals non-renewable? They're used way too fast. They're not very rare. They're kind of rare, but they're not very. Up 9 places, Cindy is the highest climber. What does a sundial do? Yeah, it tells time based on the position of the sun. True or false? The US uses biomass the most. False. Bobby Joe is cool has the highest answer streak of 5. True or false? One of the first uses of hydropower was mechanical milling. It's true. Whoa, that's a very close one. Bobby Joe is cool still has a streak. The highest streak. Last question. Why is coal non-renewable? This should be easy. Both of these are actually correct. And podium. Number 3. Ever sitting. Or, yeah, I think that's one. Bobby Joe's cool is number 2. Number 1. Maui. Guys, this look really. I guess this guy really likes Hawaii. Yeah. So yeah, class is over. Bye bye. If you have any feedback, you can say it in the chat. I'll be here for 3 more minutes, or maybe 2, just because I don't have much time. So somebody raised their hand and scream. I'm gonna unmute you. I asked you to unmute yourself. Scream, can you please unmute yourself if you have a question? Okay, well, then if Scream doesn't have a question, then I'm gonna leave. Bye bye.